it's a global impact that we're talking about. The way to advance these types of technologies and sustainable processes is going to be incredible for the future of the world. I mean, it's all going to happen right here in Central Illinois,
That's
which
really
is
cool.
super cool.
That's
Yeah,
really
it really
cool.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Kara Dermirjian Huss, welcome to the table.
Hi.
And president of DCC Marketing, and then also senior vice president for TCCI. And we are honored to have you today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and reading through your bio, you have a lot going on. So talk to us a little bit about maybe electric compressors, if you will, and what's going on in that space.
Sure, I'd be happy to. First of all, this is really fun for me because Brad and I go way back.
Way back, yeah.
So
Cool.
a little banter, I'm sure will happen today. But
Which is always welcome,
I know,
by the
it's
way.
always welcome.
right.
So,
Yes.
So TCCI Manufacturing, just starting with that,
Yep.
because when we think about electrification, we are a global leader in compressor technology. So we make air conditioning compressors for both mechanical and ICE vehicles, as well as in the last 4 years have become a global leader in the electric compressor space.
Okay.
So we are a component manufacturer. We're making electric compressors that cool both the cabin and the battery. So you can imagine it's a very critical component. Most recently, in Decatur, Illinois is our headquarters here in the U.S. We manufactured our reciprocating compressor, and it was really being decommissioned because that compressor itself, when we think about it, has lived its course. And so we were debating where to expand our electric compressor production. Currently, we have 10 countries that we operate in, and our China operation is where our electric compressors are currently being manufactured.
Gotcha.
And so as we were thinking about the expansion in the electrification industry, we knew we needed to expand our global footprint there, whether we put it in our India facility or thought about bringing it to the United States and onshoring U.S. manufacturing to support our North American market and the growth happening here in North America. So that was a big decision for us. But as you can imagine, what a lot of companies are facing, we have a very old 1940s facility. We used to build the Sherman tanks. To retool that facility was just cost prohibitive for us to be able to then
only
still
imagine.
have
Yeah.
a competitively priced product.
Sure.
And be able to really support the amount of investment for the size of our company that we would have to put into that for the future. And so I approached to the state of Illinois assistance with helping us transition that facility. And I have to give a big kudos to Governor Pritzker and to Deputy Governor Menard, because Deputy Governor Menard really knew our story and helped carry the torch.
Sure.
And helped us navigate kind of what kind of support and really retooling a support from a funding standpoint could help us bring that to Decatur.
That's awesome.
And to
Yeah.
Illinois.
Yep.
Because we could be anywhere. So at that point, we were looking at a lot of locations.
Certainly,
And we were able to work with them. We became the first Reimagine Electric Vehicle Incentive Program Award recipient with our $20 million investment. And then we received a $21.3 million grant through our partners at Richland Community College and the city of Decatur to build an EV innovation hub.
Nice.
So what's exciting about that, and I'll let you ask more questions about that, but the electrification industry is really going to transform here, across the U.S. And inside of our EV Innovation Hub, we'll have a Made in America electric compressor component manufacturing. So we'll be one of the only Made in America electric compressor manufacturers in the United States.
And that'll be in Decatur?
In Decatur.
Okay, awesome.
And then we'll also have inside of our facility, the EV Hub under one roof, the Climatic Center for Innovation and Research, where we'll be able to test against climatic conditions. It'll be a 65 by 25 foot chamber to test against climate conditions, both temperature, solar, humidity, wind. And then also, unlike any other manufacturing facility, we will have a community college inside of our facility. So we'll have Richland Community College, 3 classrooms embedded in immersive training inside of our facility.
Impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I know we were talking earlier about the work that you're engaged in with workforce development and what the future workforce is going to look like given the electric vehicle space. So can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing is just a total transformation of the industry. So when you think about the jobs of tomorrow, they're completely different of what they are today, and it's not just jobs for TCCI, it's jobs for the industry. And so, being fiscally responsible with this public-private partnership, it's really critical that we're thinking much bigger for what needs to happen. And when we look across the ecosystem, we're hoping to create a new model for education. And I think that's, part of my role on the Illinois Workforce Innovation Board that the governor appointed to me to last May is to think about what needs to happen in our workforce unified plan for Illinois, and how do we need to position ourselves to support this growing need. Because when you think about 2027 to 2030, that's when you're going to start seeing a lot of these vehicles really coming down the line. You're going to see a totally new industry. And cars are computers today. So we need computer software engineers. We need electrical engineers. We need electrical technicians. We need maintenance technicians, service technicians. So we have to be thinking about how industry, academia, and government are going to work together in order to build and provide that for industry and for those jobs that are in need.
Wow. Yeah. Are you? It sounds like you're finding that government is more and more open to having business at the table, if you will. I think we all talk oftentimes, both at the state level as well as the federal level, that for our governments to be more efficient and more effective, especially using our taxpayer dollars, that the voice of business needs to be present and be a strong voice at the table. Sounds like you're finding more and more of an openness to that.
Oh, for sure. I think
and
that
it's not political, right?
It's
you
definitely
mentioned that
not
early.
political. It's really important. Vision that I think the governor has had is to fuse industry into the conversation sooner and more often and in a more impactful way. And I think people like, I'll say, Mark Denzler at the Illinois Manufacturers Association. I sit on that board. I'm our vice president. And, he is integral in bringing the voice of industry and manufacturers to the state of Illinois and has been really a transformational partner for the state so that we can really approach what we're doing here in a different way. And so, I definitely think we've been pushing that wheel together much more effectively. It's better fiscal responsibility of our dollars. It's better intent and an understanding of what the needs are of industry. It then brings together what academic institutions, both at a community college and a higher education institution level, can do to support those needs of industry. And when we think about research and the technology advancements that are going to happen in order for the transformation of electrification to be successful. So I definitely think it's been incredible the amount of synergistic relationships and partnerships that have happened.
Well, talk a little bit about the Innovate Illinois, how you are helping with that marketing and what that's all about, because I find that very interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. And I think it goes back to this partnership again. So Innovate Illinois, Governor Pritzker is the chair, and Chancellor Jones from the University of Illinois and Jenny Scanlon from UL Solutions are vice chairs. And that collaboration is a large group of industry, academia, and government that have come together into a coalition or a consortium that are focused on understanding what the dollars are at a federal level that are available from a grant perspective and ensuring that Illinois gets more than their fair share. We have a lot of great things happening here in Illinois, but working together as a team is the most critical part about having applications and strategy that are best fit for the United States and for a global impact. And so Innovate Illinois' job is to really bring those collaboratives together to ensure we have the best projects and people on teams going after those programs. And our marketing is really there to support those efforts from a marketing and comms standpoint, helping build the collaboratives, helping making sure we're linking partnerships, making sure that we're amplifying communications and information that's happening here in Illinois.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah. You have a
I
lot
love
going on.
it.
Listen, tell
Yes,
us a
I'm
little
super passionate about it. I love it.
We would have never known.
I know. We got to get a lot of information
Yes,
covered here in
yes,
45 minutes
yes.
here.
And so DCC Marketing is the agency that is working on all of that.
Okay, awesome.
So.
And talk a little bit about the 998, the hotline, and some of the things
Okay,
there.
don't call 998, call 988.
Is it 988?
988, yeah. Well, I because I looked at that on the, I didn't know what it was. So tell us a little bit about those things. This is probably what you remember most about
Here's
me.
the opportunity for the banter you talked about earlier.
That's the Brad Wike I remember from back in the day. Not real bright.
No, that is not true. Okay, back to the question.
Yeah.
So DCC Marketing is the agency of record for the Illinois Department of Human Services, and one of some of the strengths of our agency are around multicultural marketing and consumer education and behavior change. And so for us, we are incredibly passionate about the work that the Illinois Department of Human Services is doing. One of the biggest programs that most recently is been critical across the nation is with all the mental health issues out there and the suicide rates and the increase and ensuring that people have a confidential way to call and get help.
Gotcha.
And so 988 is the suicide prevention hotline.
Very good.
And that we're working in partnership with the Illinois Department of Human Services to ensure that Illinoisans are aware of the hotline and that they know it's there and can call when they need help. And so it's been a very passionate program for us because mental health is a very serious issue. Again, particularly coming off of COVID, we see it, across all ages and across all individuals. And when we think about veterans, there is a special hotline around that for veterans as well. And so it's an incredible program that has been funded from the federal government and supported by the state of Illinois.
And then so DCC Marketing, your marketing firm, has taken the lead to do all of the communication and the marketing and putting that forward so folks know that's available. Is that correct?
Yep. Yes, across the state. And, I think that as well as with the Illinois Department of Human Services, another big a big program there is the Reimagined Public Safety. So, with gun violence and the rise in gun violence, it's been really critical from an awareness standpoint as we work within the community. So you may not see as many things externally, but a lot of the marketing and comms work we're doing transcends both working with community-based organizations across the state as well as with marketing and external marketing efforts to ensure that people and programs are initiated around after-school programs and various other assets at a community-based level that can help really transform those individuals that ensuring they're going down the right path and helping from a long-term perspective as we think about safety and gun violence.
And you're also working with IDOT, correct?
Yes, we're working across the Illinois Department of Transportation. Again, really important work, changing behaviors and consumer education. And I think when we think about distracted driving, when we think about impaired driving, when we think about work zone safety, all really important educational pieces. Something that we're extremely proud of is in the last year and a half, we've seen a 4% decrease in fatalities in Illinois. And the states around us have not seen the same. And so very proud of the work that's being done there. And it is a joint partnership with that communication.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, something to be pretty proud of.
Yeah, it
so
really is.
I'm sitting here while you're talking about these various things that you have going on in your life and
You're like, oh my
your
God.
business, and I think about the two things I have to juggle, and wondering as a business
We are not
person,
that busy, I can tell you.
as a business person, how do you manage all the different things that you have going on? I think a lot of folks that are great leaders are also great managers. They learn how to manage keep all the balls in the air.
Yeah, well, if you
how
don't
do you
have
do
good
that?
teams, you can't
Yeah.
do
Yes.
anything. I
Amen.
mean, you
That's
know
right.
that.
Well said.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really not about me. It's about everybody else around me and the work that they're doing. And I have an amazing team. So you're only as good as the team that you have in place. And so I think that's really important. And that culture that we breed both at TCCI and DCC is important to good leadership. And I think that that's a big part of it. I think relationships, I've talked about this before as well, building trusted relationships starts early in your career. And you foster a relationship that's long lasting and they become resources and mentors to you along the way. Sure. Those are things that are inherent in how I approach my leadership and they really help me be able to do more is the people around me, the relationships I've built, the resources that I can count on. I always say there's a 3 phone call rule. If you can't get something done in 3 phone calls, you haven't done your job in your career of building a relationship. And so I think that, it's really important not to just have a relationship to have it too. It has to be meaningful. It's a give and take. And really it starts with wanting to do good and everything else will come, right? So if you live based on the premise of you want to help others and you want to grow other people's businesses or support their initiatives or provide them a service that's going to do something beneficial for them, success will come to you. You just have to think about what success looks like for them.
Sure.
I always say Stephen Covey's begin with the end in mind. You have to know what success looks like for anybody around you and be a part of that in their life and inspire them for success. And then success in many other ways will come for you.
Yeah.
So
I suspect you probably do offer a lot of mentoring and motivational speaking opportunities to other women who are leaders in the business community.
I do. I love it. I think that is important, whether it's to women or to men. I think you can inspire anybody. I don't think that has a gender or a race, really. So I think as individuals and as leaders, it's our job to help foster the next generation and to build and inspire others around us. And so I do a lot with the University of Illinois. Our family has been fortunate enough to be philanthropic donors to the Department of Intercollegiate Athletics. And I think that's really important because athletes to us are like entrepreneurs. They have this belly burning passion, this drive, this, meaningful intent to always be growing and learning. And so as entrepreneurs in our own right, we think they're really great workers of the next generation. And so
couldn't agree more. I agree.
We've invested. We also think they're the front door to a university. And so it's been, people always ask, why are you giving to athletics? Well, that is a lot of why. I don't play sports. I'm not a golfer. I'm not a soccer player.
Well,
and I surely don't run track. But it's what it's that entrepreneurial vision that an athlete has.
Sure.
And we believe those are what is that next generation. And so I do a lot of speaking there. I speak a lot during COVID. I spoke a lot with the women athletes and really talked about kind of how that impacted their lives. I mean, you think they come to a Division I to play the sport they're passionate about, and it's pretty much all taken away from them.
Right.
And so, that was a really important time to be there for them and to help them be resilient, persevere, think about other things they could be working on during that time, and really using that time wisely to build their goals and build their future plans, and think about life and how challenges can make you a better person in the long run, and how do you use that time to further yourself. And so I do a lot of speaking with the next generation.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So when I think back 25 years ago, you guys probably had a couple locations. I knew Richard, you know, we used to do some hunting together and things like that. And he'd always be on the phone talking to somebody about something. He's like, he was the busiest guy I ever met. But
and the coolest guy.
And the coolest guy.
That's your
Yeah.
brother,
Running the
Richard.
coolest company.
Richard,
Yes,
he's a great dude.
Yeah, he is.
Great
He's
guy.
awesome.
And but when I think back, I mean, and read now that you have 10 locations around the world, you guys are international, and you were international back then. But what's the future look like for you guys, say over the next 10 to 15 years, as far as growth goes?
I think if you ask Richard that question from a TCCI perspective,
Yeah.
he'd say 10 to 12% growth.
Is that right?
The
Wow.
times growth potential. I mean, it is, with the electrification, and we feel we have, we got our vision in early. He really, he hired from General Motors, one of the heads of the HVAC group there that has really built our program and our portfolio of products from 2018 and gotten us to where we are today. I see continuing a global localization. So when I think about that, it means expanding locations so that we can across the world and across the globe, so that we can serve our customers where they need to be served. With the logistics and supply chain issues, I think it's really important that we're investing in all of these areas across, the United States and North America, across Asia and Europe, across India, and as we think about kind of the growth, both domestic growth and international growth, I think it's really exciting what's on the horizon there when we think about heat pump technologies and the amount of energy efficiency programs. He just came up with a new climatic system for the RV industry that he just announced, which is a whole new category for the RV industry, utilizing technology that we've had for years, just reapplying it in a different way. And so I think there's so many exciting things, but he's an incredible leader, and his vision and his way of being able to build a product idea and take it into implementation with his engineering team and his sales team is incredible to me.
That's incredible. Yeah. And bring lots of jobs to Decatur.
Lots of jobs
That's
to Decatur.
awesome. Because, we had Nicole Bateman in, and she was talking about there's a lot of exciting things going on behind the scenes that she couldn't really talk about. But obviously you're a big part of that.
Yeah. And I sit on the Economic Development Corporation with Nicole. I've been there since 1997.
Okay.
So a long time. And I'm past president, and she's doing a bang up job.
That's
and
awesome.
she's, helped win several of these federal funding. So we are a finalist for IFAB, thanks to the work Nicole's doing. And we're also a finalist for the Recompete, which is a whole workforce piece of that. We were one of 576 applications. We were one of 20 that were a finalist. Decatur was.
Wow.
And that's due to Nicole and the team around Decatur that's really focused on this collaborative work together and working across the state. But, jobs are a huge growth area in our community. And I think that what Nicole's doing to focus on healthcare, focus on EV and energy, and to focus on agriculture and biosciences. Those are kind of three big areas, and those are the big areas for our state, quite honestly.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's IFAB? What is that?
So it's part of the Integrated Bioprocessing Lab. It is the name they came up with to coin their tech hub project, where they're really doing synthetic biology and bioprocessing and fermentation.
Okay.
So that industry is going to explode, whether you're talking about the way we're processing feedstock for next generation of things like fabrics or food or pharmaceuticals or aviation fuel. That research and technology advancement is going to be huge. And so they're working in partnership with the University of Illinois, IFAB, which is a pilot processing program that will allow us to expand processing.
Wow.
And working in conjunction with both ADM and Primient, and many others, Clarkson Grain, and I think there's several others.
Wow, that's outstanding.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting because when
It's
you first mentioned
unbelievable.
it, my first thought was the ag industry,
Yeah.
but it sounds like it spans it
No,
has far
it's-
greater reach
and
than agriculture.
It's a global impact that we're talking about. The way to advance these types of technologies and sustainable processes is going to be incredible for the future of the world. I mean, it's all going to happen right here in Central Illinois,
That's
which
really
is
cool.
super cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
it really
cool.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You originally from Decatur?
Pretty much. We moved here when I was 10. My dad
Yeah.
worked for Chrysler and then was recruited here with Borg Warner, and then he bought the York division of Borg Warner back in the 80s. So
Gotcha.
I've been here since I was 10.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You're from Detroit originally, right? Is that correct?
Detroit and then Syracuse. Yep.
Syracuse.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to ask her the question.
Yeah.
You gotta
I was
ask her
waiting
question.
for that.
You got to
Yeah.
ask her the question, even though she's very young.
I don't know.
She's done way more than we've done in our
No.
careers. So.
So I always like to ask people, given your life experience, and you've experienced a lot, I'm sure personally as well as obviously professionally.
I'm
If you
scared
could-
about what this
if you
question's
could-
going to
yeah,
be.
if you
I don't
could-
know. I don't feel prepped.
If you look back and could tell yourself 30 years ago or even 20 years ago, here's what you wished you had known back then that you know today based on your experience. What might a couple of those lessons be?
I feel like I had this question when I was at iHeartRadio as well. And I said, if I look back, it's just the culmination of everything I've learned throughout the time that has brought me to where I am today.
Sure.
So I don't know that I'd go back and tell myself anything because I wouldn't want to change the path that I'm on today. Right. So I do feel as if everything I've learned along the way, the pitfalls that I've had, some of the failures, and the resilient opportunities to kind of come back and think about things differently, build different partnerships, grow in different ways, have brought me to where I am today. So if I go back and tell myself to do something differently, it might change where I'm at.
Sure.
And I don't think I'd want to change that. So I feel as if you need to embrace every moment you have in life and really take the opportunity to learn and grow from those to build. And so it's always a building block. And I feel like I'm in the middle of my movie right now. And I feel like it's going to build another, 50 years of work. That means I'd be 100 when I'd retire. But like you, I think when you're in your family business or have your own business, you just I don't even see retirement. I feel like I'm in the glory days of doing amazing things, and I don't want it to stop, and I don't want to look back and wish I would have done something different or said, do this instead.
I love it.
I think that's really well said.
Yeah.
In the moment of the pitfalls or the failures or the difficulties, right? Sometimes we think, oh, I wish I wasn't here.
Right.
But I wouldn't change anything I've done in my life because I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Yep.
Right.
And it's that life experience that's informed that.
Well, it's like Back to the Future. If you go back and you go back and you try to change the future, something might screw something up of where you're at today. So I don't want to do that.
Yep.
I don't want to go back.
No.
And tell myself to do something different.
So is there a next generation for you guys coming into the Demirjian family business?
Wow, that's a great question. We are in the last 4 years. We've been working on succession planning and really have a family council in place and governance and programs around kind of the next generation. We're second generation, and Richard and my brother Charles and I are really the ones that are in the business.
Yep.
My sister Simone Simone also works ancillary on the business.
Sure.
And my brother David is also a big advisor for us and very successful in his own right as a geneticist. And so we look at him when we think about grants and bioprocessing and the changes in that industry. They're all kind of impacting. But we do, so we have my brother Charles's daughter Evelyn is working at DCC.
Okay.
She is a digital manager there. She worked outside of the business for 2 years. Was a Michigan grad. Unfortunately, she didn't choose Illinois, but we brought her back. So
Is she allowed to wear Michigan gear at work?
At work,
work,
but not at the Illinois games.
Not the Illinois games, yeah.
Just to be clear. But she's working in the business and has grown. She's been about 4 years now. And then Claire, Richard's daughter, is in Germany right now working in the sales and engineering
really?
department.
Oh, awesome.
So she's, they're both doing an amazing job. They're hardworking, really start at the bottom and work your way up. And we believe in that.
That's awesome.
You have to work somewhere else before you come to work for us if you choose to come to work for us.
Yeah.
So it's we have a very strong family knit, but it's not for everybody. But we do hope the next generation finds the passion and the love for the business that we do.
That's great. How about Thomas Richards? He's the oldest, right, Thomas?
Yeah, he's doing awesome. He's getting his PhD from USC.
Oh, wow.
In the area of sports medicine and exercise science, and doing some transformational work in the development of analytics around athletes.
Wow, that's cool.
And understanding the impact of the way they move and how what they're doing impacts their longevity in their careers, as well as the ability to do preventative science within some of the training that they have. And so he's really doing some incredible things.
That's
Yeah, that
impressive.
sounds
Thanks for
pretty
asking
interesting.
about him.
Yeah. So
He's awesome.
no, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming
been
on the table
great.
with us. And I mean, you have done a tremendous amount of things since I last talked to you over the last probably 10 or 15 years. But I mean, very impressive. It's wonderful for Illinois, obviously, with the involvement you have with the government and the governor and all that good stuff that's going on. I love to hear what's happening in Decatur as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things on the horizon.
Yeah, but
And-
thank you so much for
Yeah,
taking
thanks
the
for
time.
having me. This has
Great to
been
meet you,
fun.
and thanks
Yeah.
for the work, especially that you're doing to bring the voice of business to the table.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not just this table, but
Right.
the table overall as a state, so that we can be the most efficient and effective that we can be.
Yeah, I encourage others to do the same, because we can't just be thinking about ourselves in our
own.
silo. We have to be out there, and we can't be complaining about what's happening. If you have a voice and you want to be part of it, there's plenty of opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Well, that's
Great.
awesome.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
thanks
Yeah,
for being with
thanks.
us. Appreciate
Good
it.
stuff.